Precious grew up in Kampala, Uganda, where her life was a mix of simple joys and quiet dreams. From a young age, she had been drawn to the magical world of Korean dramas and the electrifying energy of K-pop. While other children spent their evenings playing outside, Precious would sit glued to the small television in their living room, eyes wide with wonder as she watched her favorite shows. She mimicked the language, learned the songs, and even dressed up in improvised outfits that resembled her idols. To her, Korea wasn't just another country. It was a world where her heart belonged. Every new K-drama she watched only deepened a desire to one day step into that world. But she also knew her reality. Her mother was a hard-working market vendor, and her father, a quiet man, often reminded her that dreams were beautiful but costly. Still, Precious never let go of her dream. She poured herself into schoolwork, determined that education would be her ticket out. Whenever life in Kampala became overwhelming, be it the noise of the boda-bodas on busy streets, or the teasing from friends who didn't understand her obsession, she clung to her vision of Seoul. One evening, scrolling through her phone, she stumbled upon an advertisement. A prestigious international school in Seoul was opening applications for foreign students. The classes were taught in English but fully immersed in Korean culture. Her heart pounded. Could this be it? The chance she had always prayed for? For weeks, she worked tirelessly on her application, writing an essay that carried every ounce of her passion. She shared her dream, her love for Korean culture, and a determination to bridge two worlds, Ugandan and Korean. She prayed over that application, whispering to God every night, "Please, let them see me." Months later, a letter arrived in her inbox. Her hands trembled as she clicked it open. The words leapt off the screen. "Congratulations, you have been accepted." Precious screamed, tears flooding her eyes. She ran to her mother, who embraced her tightly. Though money was tight, her parents promised they would do everything to make her dream possible. As the sun set over Kampala that evening, Precious looked out at the skyline she had always known and whispered to herself, "So, here I come." The weeks leading up to Precious's departure felt like a blur. Kampala buzzed with its usual rhythm, matatas honking in the jammed streets, vendors shouting prices at Oeno Market, children playing football in dusty alleys. But for Precious, everything felt different. Her world was about to change. Her mother spent sleepless nights worrying about tuition, accommodation, and plane tickets. But through faith and small miracles, everything came together. Relatives contributed. Her father took on extra work, and her church held a small fundraiser. For the first time, everyone around her believed in her dream. The night before she left, Precious stood in her room, gazing at her packed suitcase. She had carefully folded her favorite clothes, tucked in her notebooks filled with Korean phrases, and placed her cherished K-pop posters between books. But most precious of all was a small Bible her mother slipped into her hands. "No matter where you go, this will remind you that you are never alone," she said softly, her eyes shining with both pride and fear. The next morning at Entebbe International Airport, the reality finally sank in. Precious hugged her family tightly, her heart heavy with the thought of leaving them. "Be strong, my daughter," her father whispered. "Remember who you are. You may be going to Korea, but never forget Uganda." The flight was long, filled with nervous excitement. She pressed her forehead against the airplane window, watching the clouds roll by, imagining the life that awaited her. Would she fit in? Would people accept her? Would she find friends, or be alone in a foreign land? When the plane finally touched down at Incheon International Airport, her heart nearly burst from anticipation. Seoul was everything she had dreamed of. Modern skyscrapers glittered in the distance, the air was cool, and signs in Hangul lit up the streets. A kind host family, the Lees, welcomed her warmly. They lived in a modest apartment near her new school, and though the food and language felt strange at first, they made her feel safe. That evening, lying in a new bed with city lights twinkling outside the window, Precious whispered to herself, "This is it. My dream has begun." The following morning, Precious woke up to the aroma of kimchi and rice cooking in the kitchen. Mrs. Lee, her host mother, greeted her warmly and insisted she try a traditional Korean breakfast. Precious was nervous but eager, carefully picking up the chopsticks she had practiced with back in Uganda. Though clumsy at first, she managed to eat without much struggle, and the Lees clapped cheerfully, making her laugh. The The streets of Seoul bustled with life as she walked to her new school for orientation. Everything felt surreal. The neon signs, the speed of the subway, the chatter of students in a language she had only practiced through dramas and online lessons. Her heart raced with every step, both from excitement and fear. The school itself was breathtaking. A tall glass building surrounded by cherry blossom trees. It was nothing like the schools she knew back home. Students walked past her in neatly pressed uniforms, chatting animatedly. She could feel their curious eyes on her. Some whispered, some smiled politely, and others simply stared. Precious straightened her back, reminding herself she belonged here. Orientation was overwhelming. Teachers spoke in both English and Korean, guiding the students through the school rules and schedules. Precious took notes diligently, though her mind often drifted back to Kampala, her friends, her family, the warmth of familiar faces. Hey! She was a stranger, and the feeling of being alone pressed heavily on her chest. After classes, she decided to explore the neighborhood. That's when she found a small cafe tucked between two tall buildings. The smell of coffee and sweet bread lured her inside. It was cozy, with soft music playing and warm lights that made her feel at ease. She ordered siki, a traditional Korean rice drink she had read about, and found a quiet corner by the window. She let out a deep breath, reflecting on how far she had come. But just as she reached for her phone, disaster struck. Her hand brushed against the glass, and it toppled, spilling all over the table. Her face turned hot as people looked in her direction. She scrambled to clean the mess, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. Suddenly, a gentle voice broke through her panic. "Hey, it's okay. Let me help you." Precious froze, looking up. Standing before her was a boy who looked like he had stepped right out of the drama she adored. Sharp features, kind eyes, and a smile that made her heart skip. He knelt down, helping her with napkins. "Don't worry," he said softly. "These things happen." Thank you," she stammered, her cheeks burning. He extended his hand. "I'm J. Minute." And just like that, the story she had always dreamed of began. That night, Precious could barely sleep. The image of J. Min's warm smile replayed in her mind again and again. She hugged her pillow, her heart racing like she was living inside a real K-drama. Had she really just met a boy like that? But the next morning, reality came rushing back. It was her first official day at school. She woke up early, dressed carefully in her new uniform, and stared at herself in the mirror. "You've got this," she whispered. "You're not just a fan anymore. You're here." When she arrived at school, her stomach knotted with nerves. The hallways were filled with students chatting in fast Korean, laughter echoing from every corner. She followed the map given to her during orientation until she reached her classroom. The moment she stepped inside, all conversation seemed to pause. Heads turned. Eyes studied her, her dark skin, her accent when she introduced herself, the way she clutched her notebook tightly. She smiled shyly, bowing slightly as the teacher welcomed her. "Please take the empty seat," the teacher said, pointing toward the back. Precious nodded, weaving through the rows of students. Her heart nearly stopped when she saw him. J. Minute. He sat casually by the window, sunlight spilling across his face. For a second, she thought it was fate. Of all the classes in this school, his hair? But before she could even gather her courage, their eyes met. His expression shifted, blank, unreadable. No recognition, no smile. He turned away as if she were just another stranger. Precious's heart sank. Did he not remember me? Or was he pretending? Throughout the lesson, she couldn't focus. Every time she sneaked a glance at him, he seemed lost in thought, distant, almost cold. And yet, every so often, she felt his eyes flicker toward her, just for a second, before he quickly looked away. By lunch, she was exhausted. She sat alone in the cafeteria, poking at her food. From across the room, she noticed several girls flocking to J.A. Min's table, giggling and trying to catch his attention. He responded politely but never let them too close. Precious watched silently, confusion stirring in her chest. Why was he kind and warm yesterday at the cafe, but today so distant? Was she imagining things? As a final bell rang, she gathered her books, ready to leave quickly before her emotions betrayed her. But in the hallway, she caught a glimpse that froze her in place, J. Minute laughing with another girl. A girl so beautiful and confident. She seemed to command every gaze in the corridor. Her name was Hannah, and from the way she leaned close to him, hand resting on his arm, it was clear she wasn't just any girl. Precious's chest tightened. She whispered to herself, maybe I was foolish to think he could notice me at all. But deep down, she knew this was just the beginning of something far more complicated than she had ever imagined. Precious tried to shake off the uneasy feeling that weighed on her, but Hannah's presence made it impossible. From the very first day, it was obvious that Hannah was admired by everyone. Her beauty was flawless, her confidence magnetic, and she seemed to glide through the school hallways like she owned them. Precious, on the other hand, felt invisible, except when people stared at her out of curiosity. She was a new girl, the foreigner, and now it seemed she was standing in the shadow of someone who had everything she didn't. At lunch, Precious sat quietly with her tray, pretending to be engrossed in her food. Her ears, however, picked up the whispers around her. Have you seen Hannah with J.A. Minute lately? They look perfect together. Of course, they do. She's stunning, and his J.A. Minute. Precious's chest tightened. She dared to look up, and sure enough, across the cafeteria, Hannah was sitting beside J.A. Minute. She leaned in close, whispering something that made him laugh, a genuine laugh that stung Precious more than she wanted to admit. The rest of the day, she tried to avoid them, but fate seemed determined to test her. After classes, as Precious walked down the hallway, she saw Hannah standing by J.A. Min's locker. Hannah's hand lingered on his arm as she giggled, and J.A. Minute smiled politely. For a brief moment, his eyes met Precious's. Her breath caught. The world seemed to still. But then, just as quickly, he looked away, back to Hannah, as if Precious had never been there. That night, Precious lay awake in bed. She replayed the scene over and over in her mind. Her heart ached with confusion. Why had he been so kind to the cafe? Why did he help her if he was just going to pretend she didn't exist? Meanwhile, Hannah had noticed everything. The flicker of recognition in J.A. Min's eyes when he saw Precious had not escaped her. She smirked to herself, her mind already spinning with plans. She wasn't about to let a foreign girl steal the attention of the boy she had claimed as Hayes. The next day, Precious entered the classroom with a heavy heart. Hannah was already there, sitting near J.A. Minute, her presence dazzling as always. Precious tried to focus on her lessons, but her mind kept drifting, lost in the silent war she hadn't asked to fight. For the first time, the dream she had held on to for years, her dream of career, felt like it was slipping into something else, something painful. Precious thought avoiding J.A. Minute would make things easier, but fate had other plans. Every time she tried to disappear into the background, life seemed to push them into the same space. One chilly afternoon, as the students filed into the library, Precious searched for a quiet corner where she could study unnoticed. She was flipping through books when a familiar voice startled her. Precious, right! Her heart skipped. She turned slowly, and there was J.A. Minute, holding a stack of books, his gaze soft. Why, yes, she stammered. That's me. He gave a small smile. You're in my literature class. Do you need help with anything? The readings can be confusing at first. Precious blinked. Yesterday he had ignored her, and now he was acting like they were acquaintances. Confusion swirled inside her, but she forced a polite smile. I think I can manage. Thank you. J.A. Minute tilted his head, as if searching for something in her expression. For a second, it looked like he wanted to say more. But before he could, a sharp voice cut through the quiet. J.A. Minute. Hannah appeared, her eyes narrowing as they landed on Precious. She slipped her arm through J.A. Min's effortlessly, smiling sweetly at him. I've been waiting for you. Let's go. Precious felt her stomach twist as she watched him leave without a word. That night, she sat by her window, staring at the bright Seoul skyline. Why does he keep doing this? Warm one moment, cold the next. Her chest ached with questions she couldn't answer. The next day, however, fate played another trick. During P.E. class, Precious struggled with a routine that everyone else seemed to know. She stumbled, tripping over her own feet. Laughter rippled through the students, and her face burned with shame. Before she could flee, a hand reached out to steady her. Don't worry, J.A. Minute said softly, his voice just for her. It's not easy the first time. I'll show you. Gasps echoed around the gym. All eyes were on them. Hannah's expression darkened, though she quickly masked it with a forced smile. But deep within her, a quiet strength whispered, "Don't give up yet." As J.A. Minute guided Precious gently through the moves, his touch light but sure, her heart thudded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. For those brief moments, the world faded, the laughter, the whispers, everything. But when the class ended, he pulled back, returning to his cool, distant self. No smile, no words, just silence. Precious sat alone on the bench afterward, confusion swirling. Why does he keep reaching for me if he doesn't mean it? Why give me hope and then take it away? Little did she know, J. Minute was fighting a battle of his own, a battle between his heart and the expectations weighing on his shoulders. And Hannah was already plotting her next move. Soul High was a small world where news traveled faster than the subway trains. Precious had quickly learned that being new and different made her a target for whispers and sideways glances. But now, Hannah's quiet schemes are beginning to ripple through the school. It started subtly. In the hallway, someone would mutter, "Did you see Precious talking to J. Minute?" "Oh, I heard she's trying to get his attention." Precious brushed most of it off. She had grown used to being noticed of being foreign, and she knew how dangerous jealousy could be in a place like this. But Hannah was clever. She didn't just rely on gossip. She planted seeds of doubt. During breaks, she would pass by J. Minute and casually remark things like, "Precious talks to so many boys, don't you think?" "Oh, are you sure she really likes you, or is she just curious about Korean boys?" At first, J.A. Minute ignored these insinuations, confident that he could see the truth. But over time, even his careful mind began to waver. The doubts Hannah planted lingered in his thoughts like shadows. Was Precious really interested in him? Or was she just another girl caught up in the excitement of being in Seoul? Meanwhile, Precious sensed a subtle shift in J.A. Min's behavior. He had been warm and protective one day, distant and unreadable the next. The mixed signals hurt her more than the rumors themselves. Her confidence, built over months of dreaming and working toward this opportunity, began to falter. One afternoon, while passing the stairwell where J. Minute often met with friends, Precious overheard his voice. "She's cool and all, but I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone expects me to be with Hannah. I'm already under enough pressure as it is," he said, without realizing she could hear him. Precious's heart sank. She didn't hear the next part, where J. Minute admitted he couldn't stop thinking about her. All she caught were words that confirmed her worst fears. She felt small, foolish, and invisible. Over the next few days, she withdrew. She stopped joining group activities, avoided looking at J. Minute in class, and smiled less. Her dream of Korea, once filled with light and hope, now felt like a maze where every step reminded her of what she could not have. Hannah, on the other hand, was delighted. She watched from a distance as Precious grew quieter, her confidence waning. The foreign girl's isolation only made Hannah feel more victorious. But despite the rumors, the whispers, and the misunderstandings, fate had not yet decided their story, because some bonds, no matter the obstacles, refused to break. The days that followed were heavy for Precious. Every step through the school hallways felt like walking through a minefield of whispers and curious days. Her once bright excitement for being in Seoul had dimmed, and she found herself retreating into quiet corners during breaks. One afternoon, seeking solitude, she wandered into the school garden. The cherry blossom trees were in full bloom, their soft petals drifting lazily to the ground. The air was cool, and the gentle rustle of leaves provided a rare sense of peace. Precious sank onto a bench, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. Precious! Her eyes shot open. There he was, J. Minute, walking slowly toward her, his expression serious. She wanted to look away, to pretend she hadn't heard his voice, but something in his gaze made her stay. I've been looking for you," he admitted, taking the seat beside her. There was an unusual hesitance in his tone. "I know things are being complicated." Precious remained silent, unsure whether to trust him. She had spent days wrestling with hurt, jealousy, and confusion. Seeing him now, so close, stirred emotions she didn't know how to contain.